Hi, Kunal.
Hi.
Just a minute, we'll start. The streaming
Yeah.
is on. Okay. Okay. A very good evening and welcome to today's BitSpace session. Today we are having a session on most frequent or the topic that is there mostly in our youngsters that we want to go abroad, we want to study there, but most of us don't usually know what is the process and how you can go there and what are the opportunities that are waiting for us over there. So today we as BitSpace, a startup, we have got us this session so that the idea or that concept will be cleared and the experience that you have got, you'll be sharing that experience. So let's begin with the session. So guys, I would like to introduce you to our today's speaker. We have Mr. Kunal Astam. He has completed his bachelor's degree in economics from Symbiosis School of Economics. He has pursued MSc in behavioral economics from University of Warwick, UK, and then he has worked at IIM Ahmedabad as a research associate in Center for Behavioral Science for 1.5 years, and currently he is based out of Delhi for a public policy project with Key Minister. So Kunal, on behalf of the entire BitSpace team, I welcome you, and it's our honor to have such an experienced and knowledgeable person today to give our peers a session today. So the platform is all yours. You can start.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Tanvi. Thanks, BitSpace, for having me on this session. And it's glad to interact with the team of this startup and also the people who have joined on other platforms. Very warm good evening to all of you. So this session, as I spoke to Mayur also, it'll be a mix of like my experience in UK because that's a very small part, but what I learned in UK and how can it be used for the startups and the booming startup industry or the ecosystem in India, it's that part is more interesting, I think. And the things which I learned in UK are uh, not literally taught at the courses in India. So I think that will be the focus of like today's discussion. But it's not like a session or a lecture, so let's keep it interactive. You just let me know if someone posts any questions or if anyone has any things to discuss. So I'll just share my screen to start a short like a PPT, but it's mostly it'll be interactive. Like so, let me just let me know when you see the screen.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
Yep, it's visible.
Okay, great. So basically, behavioral sciences as a field in India, it's a very emerging field. There are many companies who are integrating behavioral sciences, behavioral insights into their strategies, marketing strategies, their systems design, and also other things like their internal team building and all these things. So it's a mix of psychology and economics together, understanding the human aspects of all the processes that we do in a company, in a B2C or a B2B firms. So basically, behavioral science is all about human perspectives. As a field in India, it is getting traction, but as a course, it is not fully developed. So there are hardly any universities which are offering masters in behavioral sciences. There's only one in Christ, and some liberal arts universities offer a mix of psychology and economics courses. But that was the reason for me to pursue a behavioral economics degree abroad, because it was not offered in India. So after my bachelor's in economics, I decided to pursue behavioral economics. And when I was doing my research about who are the uh, good universities who offer this course, so I came across multiple universities in the US and the UK. But then I had a 3 years bachelor's degree because my BS in economics was a 3 year course. So US options were not open for me because they need a 4 year undergrad degree. So I was looking at European and UK based schools for behavioral sciences, behavioral economics. And then Warwick turns out to be number two in behavioral economics in Europe and UK. And As far as the world rankings are concerned, it is ranked 25 in the QS world rankings for economics as a field. So behavioral sciences, behavioral economics are like kind of similar fields, but the terminologies change as you go into the application. So when you call behavioral economics, it has some different applications. When you say behavioral sciences, it has some different applications. So likewise we'll start discussing. So today's discussion will be like more about my experience in the UK, the background of behavioral economics, what are behavioral insights, what it has to do with marketing research, what are the new trends in marketing research, because Mayur was telling me about the startup and all the startups, not only BitSpace or not only tech policy startups, tech based startups, all other startups who are product based or service based, they definitely need market research, marketing related research. So we'll be talking both about market research and marketing research. It's There's a thin line between these two. Then we'll talk about a little bit about consumer behavior, customer behavior, and then customer centricity. What do we mean by designing for humans? So let's dig dive. So behavioral economics, as I mentioned, it's a mix of like psychology and economics. So when initially it started as a field, like when economics started initially as a field, it has there has been a long tradition of economics as a political economy or public administration theories being covered in Indian perspectives. We had the Kautilya Arthashastra, we had Chanakya Niti, written by the same person, obviously. So these were about like macroeconomics, or how to run a state, how to run administration, and the economics related to the policy making, how a king should run his governance, government structures. So this kind of economics was very booming and greatly covered in Indian perspectives. In European or in the American perspectives, when we talk about economics, it was more about the theories about money supply, monetary demand, monetary supply, the banking, the financial markets. So it was more about like understanding the demand, understanding supply, the equilibrium patterns, the different aspects of microeconomics, pricing policies, how to decide pricing, what roles do market play, then different types of markets, oligopoly, monopoly, all these kinds of markets. So these were the kind of things that were covered in economics, and it was earlier a field which was having understanding from all the aspects: sociology, political science, public administration. But as things progressed, as they started doing it more quantitatively, they wanted to understand it from a perspective of a mathematical equation sense. So because they wanted predictability, they wanted to understand economics as a tool to predict the market, predict the demand in the market, because all the industries, or likewise startups, likewise for today, they want to understand how the market in which they are functioning will perform in the coming years, so that they can strategize their policies, or they can strategize their uh, techniques for the market. So basically, then it started all about mathematical analysis, the regression analysis, econometrics, statistics being introduced into economics. And when these numbers come into play, you can't actually have ambiguity about how people will behave. So they started assuming, when they started doing mathematical analysis for market demand, market supply, they started assuming that humans are a rational person, humans will behave in a certain way. And then, assuming those parameters as static parameters of a human behavior, they started designing policies, or started designing equations accordingly. So then slowly psychology got outside the purview of economic analysis. They started assuming that humans are rational, humans are homo economicus. By homo economicus we mean that humans are like, they will take optimum decisions, they will optimize their choices. So if I'm choosing between A and B, I'll always consider price as the most important factor. I'll not consider any other thing as the option. I'll consider my need as the basis of demand and nothing else. So basically, I'll only buy things which I need. There's nothing called as brand, or nothing called as uh, like brand loyalty, for example. So these things started becoming the basis of economic analysis, because they wanted some stability to the equations that they did. So they started assuming homo economicus as a persona, where a person is super rational. He'll choose the lesser priced good. He'll choose the most optimal amount of quantity to buy, and he'll analyze all the options available in the market and then only arrive at a conclusion. So these are the characteristics of a homo economicus, a person being fully engrossed into analytics and understanding it from economic perspective, how efficient the decision is. But then turns out to be that we are not homo economicus, we are homo sapiens. We have emotions into play. We our cognitive practices, cognitive science has a role to play in our decision making. Our societal norms has a role to play in our decisions. Our peers influence our decisions. So we are not homo economicus, we are homo sapiens. We have to abide by the psychological aspects of a human, and then markets, the regression analysis or the equations that they talk about doesn't actually fit well when these gray areas come into play. So when we talk about my preference for a brand, I would buy a Tata car over a Volkswagen car, is my preference. So someone buying a Mahindra car over a Mercedes Benz is his preference. So you then the argument about a brand being more in value doesn't come into play, because there are restrictions, there are constraints to the cost, there is a personal bias to a company, there are brand loyal people who specifically buy those goods. There are people who follow a superstar, a Bollywood star, who is endorsing a brand, and you buy the goods of a brand just because some Bollywood star you follow is also using them or is featured in their advertisements. So we are Homo sapiens. We don't necessarily always consider costs as a factor. We also consider different all the different aspects. And going ahead from homo sapiens, as in India we say we are homo spiritualis. So we not only consider brands, prices and other things, uh, we also need to understand the uh, human factor of we being a spiritual being. That means that we, like for example, economics would say that people won't donate, people won't do charity because it's a non-efficient thing, it's not a market oriented thing, you are not gaining any profits out of charity. But people still do charity, we feel good about doing charity. So we are a homo spiritualis, where we think beyond ourselves, we think beyond optimizing our choices, we think beyond our efficiency of decision making. We do uh, certain things which are technically not to be done by a homo economicus. A homo spiritualis does things that are beyond understanding of a homo economicus. uh, then as homo economicus or economics as a field started assuming human is a rational being, behavioral economics argues that irrationality is the way. Like irrational, what what currently is called as irrational is not irrational, but it is actually the way of going it. So if I'm buying product A over product B, it's not because it's cheaper. I'm buying it because I like it, so it's not irrational, I just like it, so it's my preference. And as I said, we are not machines to optimize. We don't do cost benefit analysis all the time. We are not we don't have that mental capacity or cognitive capacity to optimize choices and understand every aspect of the choice. So logic doesn't work everywhere. We do what we do and we are happy of what we're doing, and that is why brands and marketing and nudges exist. So they exist because people are brand loyal, people are following sales and offers and all kinds of cashbacks. So these things come into play. Marketing teams work because people are not homo economicus, they are homo sapiens. People can be nudged to buy something or not buy something. They can be influenced to choose a product or not choose a product because they are homo sapiens. And this is the purview of behavioral economics, to understand a human perspective of all the decision makings that they do, right from a product to a service. And then it comes as we think about consumers as a stakeholder in decision making. We should also understand firms and startups, for example, as a stakeholder, because these are the ones who will be designing for the homo sapien, they will be designing for a human. And that is what Warwick and all the masters in behavioral economics taught me, is basically it's not all about costs and benefits, it's all about understanding the feel good factor that a person might have. I feel good when I'm wearing this shirt, I'm feeling good when I'm wearing a watch, or I'm feeling good when I'm driving a car. These feel good factors are a big role to play in my decision making, and it's not only about the costs. So marketing research, what are the new trends in marketing research? We'll talk about them. So earlier marketing research was all about doing an advertisement, analyzing the advertisement, and based on the advertisement or based on the marketing strategy, how did the sales grow up. But now it's not only about sales. As for a consumer, it's not only about prices. For a firm, it's not always about the sales. It is also about how engaging the marketing campaign was, how engaging are the consumers with a brand, how do they see a brand, do they follow a brand, even if they're not buying things. Let's say for an example, a student who is not earning much might be following a brand since very long, since his childhood, and he'll someday buy that product. He aspires to buy a product. So this is also success of a marketing campaign, where you are successfully engaging a consumer for a longer duration and making a cult of people who aspire to use these products. So we all know Apple as a product, as a company. They have a like a cult who always looks forward to newer products that Apple launches. They look forward, they pre-subscribe, they pre-purchase these products. They have alerts on their phones whenever some new product launches. They look forward to it, they read about it, they take all sorts of efforts to know about the product. So it's a good way for for an Apple brand, as a brand, to be in the market, stay away from the competition, be at the forefront of the mobile phone industry. And it is, as we know, it is growing across the globe, not only in America or the Europe. It is growing across the globe because they are doing certain things that uh, understands the customer's psyche. They understand what do the customers want, how do they so all these kinds of research is done by a firm, which makes them successful as a branding, uh, or a brand in a way. So there are different types. The typical styles are secondary data, sales data analytics, customer choice surveys to understand the needs of the customer. But going beyond these four mentioned trends, there are some new trends which I learned in Warwick, and also at IIM Ahmedabad as a research associate in Center for Behavioral Science. So it was more about going beyond the typical tools of marketing research. So when we say marketing research and market research, there are two things that we should understand. Is market research is understanding the market. Who are we designing for? If we are a service provider industry, who are we providing the service? Who are our probable consumers? uh, and if we are doing a marketing research, we need to understand how effective the marketing campaign was. So if I'm doing a marketing campaign, does it translates into sales? Does it translates into engagement? Does it translates into creating a brand value for my company or for my product? So these are all things are about marketing research. Market research is understanding the consumer, building for a consumer, building for a target group, creating a target group, going beyond like just marketing, creating a target group, making them understand that this is the new product that you need, which we have developed. So these certain trends are emerging in India and also globally. And I believe that the startups, tech startups, they should start understanding these trends and also apply in their daily functioning. So these were the typical things, like surveys are still valid and still very widely used, but these are now quite conventional. So surveys is basically, if you come up with a new product, you go to people and talk to them. You ask them whether you will use this product, you will understand what is the need of this product, and then start designing and making customizable changes in the product accordingly. If survey is a big thing, or if the product is too new to be a part of a survey, you do focus group discussions. You understand, you give it to a small set of group who are specialized, or a very niche population to use a product to be used, and then you ask them whether this product was good. Like for example, if you are developing an app for doctors, you can't do a survey. You'll have to go to a group of doctors, 10, 15 doctors, and ask them to use an app, and get a focused feedback about the product. Then there are interviews that you can do to understand the customer's opinion, behaviors, and motivations of using a product. So the UX research, the UI research that is going on in the European countries, or also in India nowadays, it's a booming field, UI UX. So it is focused on interviews and qualitative research where they understand attitudes and motivations of why did a person choose something, why did a person did not choose something for a service or a digitally interactive medium like a website, or for a advertisement. You would want to understand, why did I click a button, why did I not click a button, what made me click a CTA, call to action buttons, and all sorts of things which you can't understand just by the cookies or the analytics of a website. You will have to sit beside a person who is using the website, who is interacting with the screens with a device, and understand why is he doing so and so things. So the qualitative research is a big thing in market research. Not all things can be gauged by a quantitative method, and qualitative research is comparatively easier to do, and waiting for the outcomes of a quantitative research and getting the data after a product is being launched. You can actually start making the necessary changes in a product or a service while it is being developed. So the other thing is experiments. So the other thing is experiments, like as I mentioned, this comes into marketing research, whether a marketing campaign that I launched or a product that I launched, what are the cause and effects of an intervention. If I made some changes to my product, did it increase the user experience, enhance the user experience, increase the quality of the product? So for that you will have to do experiments. For that you can't have focus group discussions. If you want to have a causal analysis, you will have to divide your focus group into two parts, where the intervention is valid in one and not available for the other group, and see whether the interaction or the intervention actually worked. And as we all know, social media analysis is also obviously a big thing, and again it's a secondary data. And there are many other techniques which we'll see right now, uh, where the market is going and how these trends are emerging. So these, after these conventional things, will start into so why do we do these market research? So it's about stated preference and a revealed preference kind of a thing, where surveys are a stated preference. If I ask you, will you buy this or will you not buy this, surveys will work. And for some, it is only for someone like a conventional buyer who is a buyer of a product. So for example, Maggie wants to understand what is the preference with a new flavor. They'll go out in the market and do a survey and understand whether this new flavor of Maggie will work or not work. But for if it's a revealed preference, where you want to understand if if Maggie is rebranding itself with some new name or a new packaging, and in a mall, if they keep it beside Maggie with the same name but a different logo or a different packaging, will people choose it? Is only revealed preference tools will tell you. It's an observed behavior. So you'll have to go and observe in a mall or a food mall. If there are on a rack, for example, if we have kept two packets of the same brand Maggie but with different colors and different packaging, you'll have to wait and watch which one the person picks up. So it's not a stated preference. You're not going and asking the person which one will you pick, because he might just choose Maggie because he's familiar. But revealed preference is basically understanding the behavior, observing a behavior when it is being done, or when while it is being performed. So it's a revealed preference technique, we could say. And these neurophysiological tools, which I'll be talking about more in detail, will help us understand this revealed preference. It is going beyond self-report measures, because these surveys, what you typically do in a survey is you ask a person ratings. So if I am designing a website, and let's say I'm designing a shopping website, after my shopping experience, you would ask me, what was the experience, how would you rate me on a scale of 1 to 5, or how many stars would you give me? And then typically a person would choose 4 on a 5 or 5 on a 5. But then uh, my 4 on a 5 and Tanvi's 4 on a 5 will be different. Her understanding of good and bad and my understanding of good and bad is totally different. We can't quantify. My 3.5 might be someone's 2. So these self report measures are useful but kind of getting older now because of the neurophysiological tools that are being used in market research, which we learned in Warwick and also at the my first job at IIM. And so, as I said, talking about Warwick, the application process and these things won't help a lot. What I learned that the university is more interesting than how to apply for a master's program. That can be a separate topic to deal with, and it's kind of open in the public, and a lot of consultants already work in making helping people to apply for courses abroad. What is more interesting is the trends which are not there available in India. We are into research in neurophysiological tools, but not into like formal courses of while we teach marketing. So these neurophysiological tools are basically understanding uh, a person's choices of over A and B without actually asking them which one would you choose, A or B. So if I display on a screen a packet of Maggie versus a packet of some ramen noodles, uh, and I ask which one would you buy, so you might say Maggie just because you are very familiar with Maggie. Or if I ask you which one would you buy as compared to a Good Day biscuit versus a newly available biscuit in the market, you would be hesitant to buy or choose a product which you don't know or you haven't seen in advertisements in the malls or in the shelves of a food mall. So what you would go with a very typically seen product, and this might cause an hindrance in a new product being launched in the market, and to understand whether people actually like it or not. So these neurophysiological tools, what they do is basically they tell us the emotional patterns. So I'm very vaguely explaining, it's not as easy as I say it. But what is the EEG machine? So as you see in this photograph, so this is a EEG device. So these are small electrodes that help to understand. If I could point it out, so these are these small electrodes. There are 32 in number, and there's this gel that is used to ensure that activity from my scalp is being conducted by these electrodes. And what it does is it helps you to understand my preferences. Preference is again a vaguely used term, but helps to understand my approach towards a product, and how would I react when I see a new product or a new packaging or a new name or a new color of a brand or a logo, for example. So when a person typically comes to a lab at Warwick or at IIM, also we have a lab. So this is how it goes. There's a screen in front of you. You have been given a device. This is a device to help you choose. Like there are 5 buttons. So uh, each button has something to do with the experiment. The experiments are designed carefully to understand my preferences between products. So right now I'm typically focusing on the marketing research. It is used for all kinds of behavioral evaluations like behavioral finance, behavioral public policy, for example. But let's stick to kind of marketing right now. So this device helps me to choose between, let's say, A or B. But then the EEG is actually telling you why did I choose or what made me choose A or B. Or even if I'm like choose saying that I will prefer Maggie, but I also felt equally good when I saw a new product because I was kind of excited to try a new product. So these things which won't surveys won't reveal, the electroencephalography or neurophysiological tools, they reveal such kind of stuff. So if I could just play this small video and help you understand how this experiment goes. So on the screen, I hope the and it was not at all easy for me to browse a website. Or if an app is being developed and I'm told to use an app, the EEG will actually tell me if the person find it very pleasurable or was it painful for the person to use that app or to find things on a website. We all face these issues where there are certain websites, especially government websites, unfortunately are not very well designed. So when we go to fill out some forms for some examinations, we find it very difficult to actually navigate the website to get things done very fast. But when we go to book some flights or book a, nowadays IRCTC website is also very well designed. It's a super easy website to use. So if you want to launch a website out in public, but you want to first test it, how people are feeling about it, is it easy to use, what are the emotions people have with using the website, you can't go and ask people outrightly because they will not be able to describe how are they feeling it. They'll be using very vague terms like I'm feeling good, I'm feeling easy, it was very difficult, it was not good. But then my good and someone else's good are two different things. I can't quantify them, I can't actually understand what do they want to say. So an EEG device like this one will help me to understand very uh, accurately what exactly uh, they want to say when they say good or bad. Some other things are like these eye tracker for marketing research. So on the right hand side, this device in the hand. So it's a very sleek device which emits infrared rays, and it tracks my eye gaze. So I have to calibrate my eye gaze before I start an experiment, and then it uh, gauges my tracks my eye gaze wherever I see on a website or a screen. So, for example, Amazon wants to test on which part of the screen do people spend their time the most. They can't go and ask people where did you look at the first moment when you opened the website, because I won't remember where I was seeing at the very moment, or which product did I saw initially. So I will not be able to describe it as I do it, because then it will be a hindrance in my thinking processes. So a company or a researcher, what he would like to do is basically record real time gaze plots where I'll get to see where the person is seeing. So, for example, I am reading this E, or I'm looking at this goggle. So this eye tracker helps me to look uh, and see what the person was seeing. So this is a Toby. There's a company called Toby, which is a leading brand in manufacturing these eye trackers and helping people conduct research in eye tracking. So on the left side, this is a device at the IIM Ahmedabad lab, and these small dots that you see on the glass of the glasses are the small electrodes or diodes that emit some rays to capture your eye gaze. And if I could point with a laser, uh, this is a small camera that records what you were seeing. So typically, if I go to a mall and I'm wearing this camera with the goggles, the goggle will tell me where I'm looking at. So for example, in a mall, which shelf I went first, and on a big shelf, which product did I look at? What was the role of the color that attracted me to look at the product? What was the role of the logo that catched my attention? So all these things you won't be able to ask a person, and just by understanding his verbal expression or verbal description, it's very difficult to gauge. So but the eyes don't lie. So it's very, it makes your life easy to understand the preferences of people. So if I'm looking at a logo, if you're looking at a color or a brand name, it actually tells me if my brand name is working, if my color or my logo is working to help grab people's attention. So this is also being used in marketing research. So this is a short video. If I could stop this screen and try sharing the other one, we'll just have a look at how these things are done and how it is being analyzed. So Tanvi, just help me to understand if you can see the screen and also look. And are you getting the audio? Let me just play it.
In market research,
Was it audible? Could you hear the video? Okay, let's just see this. It's a very short video. It is basically explaining how this eye tracking research is being used in marketing.
we saw
Could
a
you
very
play?
big
Yes, yes, it's
mountain
audible.
to climb
Sorry.
It's audible. The video is
Oh,
audible.
okay, okay, great.
Yeah.
on. What does my in market research a big mountain to climb on? What does my product look like on shelf, or what does my product look like in physical? So using eye tracking, it gives you the opportunity to look through the consumer's eyes. So instead of just only listening to an opinion of a consumer, we now see the analysis with heat maps and gaze spot analysis, instead of working only with a PowerPoint deck and showing that to an audience. Our experience working with eye tracking is the speed, and we work very close to deadlines. And when we need that specific answer on a question, we use a lot of eye tracking. Because eyes don't lie, combine these things can give you the right insights to adjust your pack or convince your customer. Eye tracking is part of our DNA.
So, as I said, these neurophysiological tools that you use, the EEG, the eye tracker, you kind of get to very exactly understand the user's perspective and why did he choose something. Like, for example, if I'm looking at a product and trying to understand uh, what on the packaging was the most attractive part, was it the price, was it the description of the product, was it the logo of the product, was it the image on the packaging, what catch the attention of the person is now very clear when you do the eye tracking. So if I could just go back to the PPT and quickly wrap up. So when we talk about understanding eye tracker, understanding customers, understanding markets, so why do we want to understand markets? These all things are fine, that there's a very fancy technologies available, like there is research going on in the markets, but why do we want to understand? So connecting back to the first slide that we talked about, that we are all homo economicus. We are not homo economicus, we are homo sapiens. We have preferences, we have biases towards preferences, we have loyalties towards brands. So the customer centricity, designing for a customer, building things for a customer, is something very important nowadays. Like, for example, we just go through two slides and we can open the floor for discussion. This is a Ford car which was produced only in black. There was no other color available, and the reason which I know, it might be wrong, but it was because Henry Ford liked black. So all the cars manufactured by Ford at one point in time was all black, and people bought the car because it was a good engine, it was good experience, but it was all black in color. And this photo, back then, these cars were very rare, very people with a very good economic background could afford, and there were very few other options in the market available. So Ford was the leading company in automobile, so people actually bought the black cars. But when cars with color started coming up, people started switching. So even though, so for example, a homo economicus, or a person with assumed rationality, or someone who is good at optimizing things or optimizing his costs, what would do is basically, if I'm investing in a car, I would want to purchase a car which is with the company who has been long enough in the market, who has proven the engine capabilities, who has proven the engine technologies, which Ford actually did. And I would buy a car which has a very good engine and a very good efficiency in terms of fuel. But what started happening was people started switching to different companies which might not have good fuel efficiency, which might have a very substandard engine quality compared to Ford. But people started buying other cars just because they were offered in different colors. So this was a very weird thing that Ford company thought, that we have a best engine in the market, we have a very good experience of driving, we have fuel efficient cars, and people are still preferring other cars just because of the color. So as I said, we are not homo economicus, we are homo sapiens. color has a role to play in our decisions. So that is why they had to also introduce different colors in their car along with the good engine that they had. And as we go to service industry, customization has been the very key term in marketing and also in product designs. So for example, Blinkit, it's, as we typically know, it's a delivery app. So you typically choose 10-15 products, you place an order, and it is delivered doorstep. So that is what they should do, or they should not think about any other things. They should be efficient, they should be fast at the deliveries, they should be cost benefit to the customer, they should give offers, and they should like be very proactive about the deliveries that they do. But what they are doing beyond deliveries is they are customizing or creating a bunch of recipes that will help you to choose their products. So, for example, Blinkit is not Zomato or Blinkit is not Swiggy. Blinkit is Blinkit because you can order anything, electronic goods. You can order battery cells, or you can order headphones, or you can order any small things, pen, paper, pencil, also on Blinkit. You can obviously order groceries. Then why did Blinkit go into designing recipes and designing like on the website or the app? Why did they go and start putting recipes and uh, look like a Swiggy or Zomato? Because Blinkit knows that you buy groceries to cook something, you buy groceries to make some good recipes. Then why not make the customer's life easy by nudging you in a way that if you are making biryani, if you're making uh, burger, if you're making fruit salad, if you're making a jalebi, these are the things that typically one would need, and we will help you to decide which products do you need to make your recipe. So then on the website, they have these options of clicking. So if you click, this is a screenshot. So if you click here on biryani rice, so what it would do is it would open this biryani rice recipe. It would tell you how to cook it, all the recipes. And now it comes to their business where they start showing you the ingredients that you need to buy from Blinkit. So it gives you 10 options of basmati rice, 2 3 options of ghee, 2 3 options of cardamom, 7 8 options of different spices. So you have Everest masala, you have Suhana masala, and every sorts of things that Blinkit offers. And you can choose from the customized or the already designed options. So it makes your life easy. So Blinkit thought beyond their prerogative of just delivering things. They started helping customer to order things. So if I'm thinking that Blinkit is thinking about me, thinking about I should not forget anything, it is actually helping me and also Blinkit, because it is increasing the amount of things we'll order on Blinkit. It will also help me because I won't forget something, some ingredient of my recipe, and I'll get all the things at one stop. So it is understanding my needs, and it's understanding a customer's needs, and it is designing accordingly. So it is understanding the context, it is understanding the need of the hour, and it is understanding their own deliverables also. They're not going to deliver biryani because it's not the prerogative, but helping you to buy the ingredients for a biryani. So when we talk about customer centricity, all the big firms, big companies, they talk about big products, about customer centricity. Big brands like Apple and all, we also obviously talked about Apple, Tata. They all have customer centricity as a team in their all the brands that they manage, right from Salt to the aircrafts and all the fashion brands, Tanishq and all these brands. They do talk about customer centricity, and also they talk about context. But these are very small examples in day to day life, which are not very much highlighted, but they are very customer centric and context specific. So in urban centers, or in very busy cities like Pune, Mumbai, or Delhi, for example, where people are uh, working long hours, or they have to travel using metro, or using their car or their personal vehicles, they would want to save time of chopping vegetables, and they would like someone delivering chopped vegetables at their doorstep before they reach home. And this is a need of the market which someone identified, and these are the products actually being delivered at doorstep by some of the companies, where if you want to, so this on the first packet on this side, left hand side, this is something not specific to the recipe but just what you ordered. So it's a mix of assorted vegetables. This is something specific to a Sindhi chutney that they're talking about. They've pasted it here. What is this for? And they are designing according to the need of the customer. They're understanding who the target population is, and they're designing for them. And this product, which is very basic product, there's nothing much fancy about it. There are no processes, no complex things that go behind making this product. It's just peanuts roasted and then grinded into a powder. But a very key thing about this, I haven't seen this product outside Pune. I spoke to my friends, I spoke to people whom I know who are not from Pune. They were astonished when I said that we actually get peanut powder in Pune. And it's a key ingredient in many recipes in India, right from sabudana khichdi to uh, different vegetables and different raita that even in Delhi are made using peanut powder. It is not available at all in any cities. Even in Mumbai, it's available in very few places. So, what made the person think that this product will actually sell, and why should I invest something in a very basic product that can be easily made at home? So you have peanuts, you have microwaves, you have gas stoves. You can easily roast peanuts. You can easily grind them. Everyone has a mixer at their home, a grinder. But then this product still sells, and sells at a very good quantity and at a very decent price. And it's very easy to make, easy for a startup or easy for a home based uh, startup or a small cottage industry. But then this product is actually available in the market and it does sell. So what made this sell is the context. They understood the context of a person. If I am getting peanut powder, just like salt, jaggery and other stuff, other masala, it is making my life easy, it is saving me time. So the person who designed or who started producing this as a viable market product understood the context, nothing else. He understood the customer centricity, he understood the context, and came up with a product that sells. So we need to understand that we are designing a product or we are selling something whose base is a human, who are the consumers are humans. They are not homo economicus. We are stressing this again and again in each slide. So if a machine is designed, if an app is designed, if a website is designed, it is all designed for a human to use. And humans are effort conserving people. You don't like to do effort. You want easy things. You want things that save your time, things that save you effort. So you need to understand the persona of whom are you designing for. You need to understand what the background of a person is, and you need to understand that the code, the buttons, the feel of the product, for example a washing machine, uh, there are all sorts of different settings that the washing machine offers. But then when you buy a very fancy washing machine, you end up using one basic feature every single time, because that is the need for which you bought the washing machine for. Unless and until you are putting some woolen clothes or some fancy clothes in the washing machine for your daily needs, you have decided for yourself that this is the program that I want to run, and I know that it runs for 20-25 minutes, and then I run a dryer program, and then it's done. So all sorts of complex things are available in that machine. I can set the temperature, I can set the water quantity, I can set the cycle speed. But is it actually needed? I just want my clothes clean. That's the whole purpose. If I'm building for a person, I should build uh, easy things. And I'm not here to flaunt the capabilities of a machine, but I'm here to serve the purpose of a human. and if I press some wrong buttons, if there is an error that the washing machine throws, and if it's not taking water, if it is not taking, if it is not started the program, if it's not rotating, it's not a person's mistake. He clicked some button because he did not understand what to do next. The the machine was not designed in a way to give correct feedbacks, correct loops. And so an engineer or someone, so there's a good book by Don Norman. It says design of everyday things. So in that he says that an engineer would argue that it was so easy, the manual was written, you had the instructions clear, every button was tagged, but still something went wrong and the machine threw an error. It is not a person's mistake. It is always the design that that is at fault. The design was not good enough or foolproof that anyone and everyone could use that machine. So when you are designing websites, when you're designing applications, when you're designing a product, a physical product, or when you're designing food products, a recipe, it is always to be designed for a human and understanding the persona and the context in which he's going to use the product. So it's all from my side, and I think we can open it for questions. So this can be a small process. So you should target a customer or target whom you're designing for, explore their needs. Like I said, there's a product, the groundnut powder. It was non-existing, still not existing in some cities, because they haven't explored that someone will actually buy. Then design a solution that start making groundnut powder, then test it using the tools that we saw. You can test whether this is a viable product using market research, and then scale it up because people are actually needing the products. If the trial tells you that this is a viable market product, why not to scale it up? So yeah, that's all from my side, and I can be in touch with you all through these contact numbers or mail ID.
Definitely, Kunal. We will be in touch.
Yeah,
I
because
hope
I
our viewers have taken a screenshot of your number and email
great, great.
address. Okay, so thank you so much, Kunal, for this
Yep.
informative and an exceptional session today. It was really something that we weren't much aware of. At least I personally had no clue about the research and studies that are there behind behavioral economics, as you said. So that was something new for me, and I hope our viewers also found it new because generally what happens is we go and randomly pick a packet of Maggie or whatever we like. We don't much think about the process behind the thought process that's there behind it. So it was something new for us to catch up.
Yep.
It was completely different and informative session. So thank you so much for that. And we will move with the question answers. So
Yeah.
the
Thanks a lot
questions.
for giving the opportunity. And so basically about masters abroad or Warwick, it's a very easy process. It's all available online.
Yes, we have many consultancies that just guide you through and they make sure that you land in the
So
university.
so basically I tried to portray why you should go for a degree abroad. If something is not being taught in India, these are the topics that you should go for, and not for typical topics which are covered in IITs or IIMs. You should go for something which is not offered here. So if you're investing like a lot of money and time and efforts, so go for something which is not available right now. So that's the motivation going to UK. And if someone wants such help or wants to talk about it, I have shared my contact details. So I just focused on what I learned at Warwick and at IIM Ahmedabad. So yeah.
I much don't know about the viewers, but definitely over a period of time, I'll definitely be the one who will come in touch with you and ask you about
Yeah,
it.
yeah, happy to help.
Okay, so the first question that we have is how does behavioral economics address the role of cognitive bias in decision making? And can you highlight some common biases and their implications?
Behavioral economics borrows ideas from all the fields, from psychology, from cognitive science, neuropsychology, and so there are biases, and we are biased, we are irrational, we are Homo sapiens, and that is why we do certain decisions. So this is the application part of behavioral economics. Why are we biased? Why are we Homo sapiens? Why are we doing certain things? Is something cognitive science teaches us. And like to give some examples of biases, cognitive biases is So we, as I mentioned about context specificity, I see things in a context and not absolutely. So if I ask you, would you buy this size of a coffee cup or this size of a coffee cup, you would start comparing small or a medium size or a big size, right? And if I ask you, would you take this coffee or this size of a tea cup, you would be, you will say yes or no. But if I ask you if you will choose this or this, now you have an option to compare between two options. And let's say you start choosing the bigger one in this set, and then that becomes your preferred option. So if you go to Starbucks, you always go and buy a medium cup, let's say. And let's say now Starbucks introduces even a bigger cup of coffee. So this is small, this was the earlier bigger one, now it became medium because there's a third option in the choice set. So this is called a decoy effect. So now what you will think is, oh, I should go for a bigger one maybe, or maybe I should go for a smaller one, and my choice now is different because there's another cup in the set. So what economics would tell is, like, if I'm paying 50 rupees for a coffee and I'm getting like so much ml, I should optimize accordingly. But it is not what we do. What we do is we compare the available options and then go for a option which seems to be good in a mall or in a coffee shop like Starbucks. So if you go and buy a medium cup because you don't want to be at extremes, you don't want to have a big coffee cup or you don't want to have a small coffee cup, you go for something which is very medium sized, because you are not, you're skeptical about the prices, you're skeptical about the taste. So you won't buy a big cup because you don't know how it will taste, and you don't want to buy a small one because you don't get the utility of just by consuming so small quantity. So but then the choice set now changed because of a fourth or third option being added. So this another example, which is a very common example in nudges, how do they help people eat healthy food. So this was done in a US school. So in that school there was a canteen, and in that canteen there are two kind of food options kept. There was this typical sandwich and burgers and drinks, and there was fruits and healthy drinks like smoothies and all. And they knew that people, they observed that people are obviously choosing the attractive food, burgers and pastries and cold drinks. And then they figured out that they were choosing it just because it was at an eye level. First thing they entered in the canteen, they saw a burger and they just picked up because they did not have time. They had to rush between the lectures. In a college typically, or in a hostel typically, you are always on your toes, and you just went to the canteen, you saw something, you felt it is attractive and you just bought it. Now what they did, they changed this order of placing things in a shelf in the canteen. They put burgers and pastries on a lower level, which is not at eyesight. You'll have to like bend down and then see the options, read the prices. They made the font of the prices also very small, so you'll have to bend down, think a lot, do some physical task to actually reach the product. And then they place the fruits and the healthy products at the eye level with a good big font that helped you decide. So if I say that I prefer burgers, I should be going with burgers any day, any point of time. And if I say that burgers are cheaper than the healthy smoothies or other options, I should be a homo economicus and choose what I want. But now I'm choosing, they observed that people started choosing healthy food because it was at an eye level and it was easy to see the prices and just go and pick it up. So just by changing the order of the display of the products, they could, if they were able to like change the preferences of people, what people bought. So why is there a hue and cry about placing products on a shelf? Each shelf has a, in a coffee shop, each shelf has different different kind of rates. So if Maggie is to be placed at an eye level, they have to pay an extra premium to the mall so that they allow Maggie to be placed at that point. Why are Skittles and why are these toffees placed at the billing counter? Because to round off the bill, you would go and pick up some candies. Or if you're waiting at the billing counter in a big bazaar, if it's a very huge line and there are some snacks kept at the billing counter, there's high probability that after doing so much of cognitive effort of choosing 100 products that you bought at big bazaar, you feel hungry and you actually end up eating something sweet which is kept at the billing counters, and then you also obviously pay for that. Same thing IKEA does. IKEA's most selling product is the burgers and is the one specific thing that they have. I'm forgetting the name. So IKEA as a brand, someone when someone buys furniture, it's not as easy as buying pen, paper, and pencil. You will have to do a lot of cognitive analysis. There's a lot of cognitive load. Will this bed or cupboard fit in my room? How will it look? So by the end, by when people reach the mid of IKEA's showroom, they feel exhausted. So at exactly that point, IKEA has placed a food joint where you are served with good hot food and good sweet pastries, which helps you to get the energy to think and then continue your journey of browsing through IKEA's big products and when you want to invest heavily on furniture and these costly items. So, like all these options do play a role in decision making, and this is where cognitive science comes into play.
So basically, what they're doing is playing with your mind, playing with your brain.
Yeah, exactly. So
If I'm getting the catch.
yeah, it is kind of mind games, but one needs to understand the difference between consumer research, nudging, and sludging. So there's a term called sludge. It is a evil twin of nudge. Nudge is basically, like I said, the college was nudging people to eat healthy, and they made the healthy products at an eyesight and put the burgers and pastries on a lower shelf. So this is making people's life better in terms of health. So you can't have a marketing strategy to increase consumption of cigarettes or let's say alcohol, because it is not socially optimum. You need to understand social optimality of nudging or marketing as well. So idea is to increase the sale of a company. It should always be customer centric. It should not always only think about the profits that the company would get. As a marketer or as a behavioral science researcher, you need to think about the ethics of nudging or marketing. I can't design a product so that the customer loses on money and the company wins on the money. It should be always like portraying the company's brands correctly, not in a way of like like imposing the brand. It is like correct communication of a brand and not imposing something. So the customer should still feel the autonomy of buying or not buying. It should not be a forced purchase. So the ethics of behavioral science or nudging should be at the forefront when you are trying to do a marketing strategy or a nudging strategy.
Cool. That pretty much explains the concept in a detailed way. The next question that we have is can you recommend any books and studies or research for individuals interested in learning more about behavioral economics?
Yeah, so if we talk about marketing, there's this book, Brand and Brains, by the professor whom I was working under. So this is, I'll just post the link in the chat box. So this is about using behavioral science, neuromarketing, neuro tools for marketing. So he's a professor of marketing at IIM Ahmedabad, Professor Arvind Sahai. You can look up at his papers also. So it's in the chat box. It's called Brand and Brains. So that this is one for marketing. For behavioral economics specifically, it's there is a book by Dan Ariely, uh, predictably rational, pretty famous book. Then more about cognitive science or more about like choices or uh, prospect theory specifically. It's thinking fast and slow. There's this nudging, uh, the book called Nudge itself by Richard Thaler, the one who got Nobel Prize in economics. The Fast and Slow is by Daniel Kahneman, again a Nobel Prize in behavioral economics. So yeah, these books are the starters for behavioral economics.
Cool. The next question that we have is on marketing research. So, with increasing concerns about the data privacy and regulations like GDPR, how is marketing research adapting to ensure ethical and complaint data collection?
Right. So when we go to websites, obviously this cookies, accepting cookies, rejecting cookies is the uh, thing. Again, in that they're using nudges. So declining cookies is a pain. So you just end up accepting them. They should not be there. This is a sludge. This is like so. I generally decline cookies because I don't want to share what I'm choosing or what I'm saving in my devices. So yeah, big data and these things are helping marketers understand consumer preferences. Unless and until it's not hyper customizing or not getting into the uh, literally into the brains of the people, it's fine. Like, I mean, under keeping the anonymity is the key here. Like, marketers should be more interested into the current trends and not what Kunal or what Tanvi wants. If I'm wanting to know what Apple users buy, Apple should be more interested into all the users of Apple, and then decoding the trends in a broader customer base, rather than understanding what Kunal as an Apple user wants or Tanvi as an Apple user wants. They should not be so like, it should not be a hyper customized solution. I am They should believe that, as I said, we are designing for humans, so humans are well informed enough and intelligent enough to customize things for themselves. So you come up with a product that understands the context and it is centric to the customer, but don't go into understanding what colors I like and then making a phone specifically for Kunal. It's like hyper customization. This should not happen. And uh, like, if they are okay with anonymity, they are through. Like, they don't need such granular data from customers. So yeah, that is about the data privacy, I think.
And they'll have only one iPhone purchased by Kunal, which is customized specially for him, and no one else wants to
Yeah,
buy that.
so GDPR is helping us that the industry doesn't reach that point where it's so hyper customized that they are telling me what my preferences are by understanding my previous purchases. It should not reach there. I should be able to tell my preferences and not them telling me what my preferences should be. That is something scary, I would say.
Absolutely, they're like just forcing it on you that yes, this is what we've customized for you according to your previous experience, and now you have to buy that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the next question is what advice would you give to businesses looking to optimize their marketing research efforts in today's dynamic marketplace?
So it depends actually on what type of industry it is. So if it's a B2B, B2C, or if it's a product based or a service based, so it largely depends on that. But as I mentioned in the last slide, so you should understand the customer base. Who are you building it for? Why are you building it? Is there a need to build it? So not because you are good at making a product doesn't mean that people need that product, or people might need it, but you are still not building it. Like I said, the groundnut powder, it is needed by many people, but it is not built because it's a small product. Isme kya hai? So these things will be revealed by market research only, and you'll have to like do it at a small scale. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to all types of personas. So talk to your grandmother, talk to your younger sister, talk to your age person, talk to a mid-age person of 40 45s, talk to a child of 6 7 years who are also now very much using tech devices. So talk to all sorts of people, understand who would be your target consumer, and like build it accordingly. If it's for a wider consumer, uh, have the room for customizing and let the customizing be done at their end and not at your end. Don't be like hyper customized, as we already talked. So it's all about understanding the persona and understanding the context for whom you are defining. So this question is actually very broad. uh, as I said, you need to understand what the company is, what the industry is. If you talk about BitSpace, they'll have to understand what websites are they designing, whom are they designing for, or what can be the probable customers. Government can be a very good customer because they have pathetic websites. So having user experience, user interface designers in governments is a much needed things. Working on a public policy topic right now, I'm every day my first thing on the laptop is to go through the website of the different websites of governments. So I feel it very sad when I go and end up on a PDF. There's a PDF dump. Like, these websites are not at all interactive. They don't collect any cookies, nothing, and I have to go through all the tabs every time I open the website. It is not saving any data for my device. It's also legally bind, but I mean, they should have some more attention to UX design for the websites. So I think Bitspace can look into these aspects. So you'll have to think your company specific. So as you think for a customer, you also have to think what my company could provide or should provide.
Definitely agreed on that government website point. It's literally like a headache for us to go and browse something on the government portal. You go and you try to find something and you land up in a mess that you have this question that what was I looking for at the end?
Nice.
We forget that what are we looking for? There's so much to sort between that. So that was the last question for the day,
Great.
and we can call it off. So thank you so much, Kunal. The most appealing part of the session was the way you chose to put the knowledge that you've gained and gained in London over the process of applying abroad. Because what mostly happens is youngsters, we think is that what abroad universities put into us and their plans, how their plans are going to impact our growth. And that is what you keenly explained it, that just don't go for going abroad, go for something like you don't have it here and that's why you're going there. So
Exactly.
that is the highlighting statement or highlighting point that I would like to actually highlight here. So thank you so much for that thing. On the behalf of the entire Bitspace team, I take this honor to thank you for sparing time with us and delivering such a great session. Thank you, Kunal, and we hope to see you soon with great energy and such creative and uncharted topics. We would definitely connect later. Thank you so much and have a good evening.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for having me, and thanks all of them who are still here after listening to me for 1.5 hours almost. So thanks a lot for the patience, and yeah, all the best for your future endeavors. All the best for the startup, and yeah, do well. And yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you, viewers, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.